on Commander Replay. We try out this Tana and Sidar pump spell and token deck. Can our army of creatures fight their way past Athreos, Mizzet, and Damia? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, I want to take a quick second to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys rock. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Tana the Bloodsower, partnered with Sidar, Kondo of Jamura. Take a look at our opening hand. That's a one-lander. Let's mulligan that. Ooh, that one's not much better. That is also a one-lander. No card draw. Down to 6. Alright, a little bit better. We actually got some lands. We got a token doubler. Would love to find some card draw. There's a Perforos. Man, Perforos is pretty good in this deck. I think we should keep it. So this deck was voted on by my Patreon supporters as a deck that they wanted to see. It's essentially Tana the Bloodsower with a bunch of pump effects. So Tana will be able to do some pretty big damage, and that'll give us a lot of tokens, and then we have a lot of different ways to use the tokens with things like Parallel Lives. So it's sort of like a Voltron token deck, which normally I would say is probably two strategies that are kind of at odds with each other, but I feel like this thing will be able to work, and especially since we have Sidar as our other commander, who says creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less, which means that a lot of our tokens are going to be unblockable, so that's pretty cool. And right here we're going to lay down this forest, put a Wild Growth on the forest. Wild Growth surprisingly doesn't show up all that often, Commander, for how good it is. I much prefer Wild Growth over something like a Birds of Paradise or other Mana Dork, because that Wild Growth is going to stick around so much longer than a Birds of Paradise, which is going to crumble at the first sign of any mass removal at all. So, Serum Visions for the Mizzet opponent. And a Scroll Rack coming down for the Damia opponent. Seems pretty good. Ooh, nice, we get our Hunter's Prowess. I was just thinking this is exactly the card that we want to find off the top of our deck. And what are the odds that we actually get it? So now we just need to get our commander in, have it survive for a minute, put this on it, and then we can get some damage in, get some tokens, and draw some cards. All very good things. Let's play the fetch land right here. Correct the fetch land. Could go for one of our tap lands right here, but I want to get both colors. Unfortunately, not having the enemy colors in either BFZ or Amonkhet lands, so I think it's actually going to be the Sacred Foundry tapped. And we don't have anything else to do, so we'll just tap out our mana and pass. Bounce land for the Athreos opponent. So opponent going to use their Scroll Rack. Also an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth coming into play, so each land will be a swamp, and should slow the game down mightily. So taking a look at what our opponents are playing, by the way, first up we have an Athreos God of Passage opponent. It is 1 black-white for a 5/4, indestructible, is not a creature if your devotion to black and white is less than 7, and it says, whenever another creature you own dies, return it to your hand unless target opponent pays 3 life. Pretty good ability. So Athreos, definitely a aristocrat-style deck, tends to involve a lot of sacrificing. An opponent can either make someone pay a lot of life so they don't get everything back, or they can choose the player with the least amount of life and get the things back if they need to. So, interesting little commander. Trade Routes coming down for the Damia opponent seems pretty good. And with that, that'll bring it back to our turn. So I think we want to get Tana down, although we definitely want to get Tana down. It's green, that's red. There, we'll play the white. So cast Tana, and we'll pass turn, and hope that everyone kind of taps out their mana doing what they're doing next turn, and our goal is going to be to try and draw a lot of cards with this Hunter's Prowess. Athreos coming into play, sure. Our next opponent, by the way, is Mizzet Perun, otherwise known as the Smug Dragon, and it is blue, 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 red, red, red for a 5/5 that can't be countered, has flying. Whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target, and whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. Pretty good little commander, very similar to the other Mizzets that they've printed over the years, just with a few little different caveats that it can't be countered. It's a really nasty casting cost, though. You can't run a lot of utility lands with Mizzet, and even if you run a lot of basic lands, you may just not have the colors you need to cast Mizzet on turn 6. It's a pretty rough casting cost. Mizzet lays down a Gilded Lotus. What edition is that? 20. Followed by a Thought Vessel. So getting their mana ramp going, and more importantly, they tap out, which is good. We have 2 players tapped out. I really want this Hunter's Prowess to resolve. Damia is probably going to hold up some mana, which is always a little bit scary. Damia going on the Scroll Rack plan again. I'd be very happy if they tap out for something like a Cultivate. Make sure we get our Hunter's Prowess through. And they do not tap out. We do find an Aura Shards, though, and now is a good time for Aura Shards, I am thinking. Well, we'll find out if they have a counterspell, that's for sure. Play Aura Shards. Oh, it resolved. Opponents are F6'd. Nice. Well, we won't be able to get the Hunter's Prowess this turn, but we will be able to blow up some key pieces from our opponent. So, play a land right here. Go to combat. Swing into the Mizzet. Tana will trigger.
So we'll get 2 tokens. Aura Shards will trigger. Let's get the Gilded Lotus and the Scroll Rack. Use the Aura Shards ability. So that'll slow our opponents down quite a bit. Blood Artist, cool. Blood Artist is going to be really good against us. If someone plays a board wipe, well, I guess they don't have to use it against us necessarily. They may, if we're off to a big commanding lead and being really annoying. But they can target the player of their choosing with all those Blood Artist triggers. But so we don't know if Niv Mizzet is playing the Curiosity combo, which is basically just a loop of damage that they can draw every card in their deck and do that much damage to players. Now, with 86 cards in their deck, they would have to like get some sort of wheel effect or recycle their library somehow in order to do that. Oh, so Corrosive Grip taking down our Aura Shards. Bummer. Still, I think we got rid of 2 key pieces right there. That was still very good news for us. Fire Mind's Research. Well, yep, more enchantments coming down. Kind of wish that Aura Shard stuck around. We do have Eternal Witness, so some potential to get it back that way. Fateful Showdown. Deals damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand. Discard all the cards and... it's going to blow up our Tana. That is annoying. That is most certainly annoying. This thing gets a counter on it. You can remove 2 counters to draw a card, and you can remove 5 counters to do 5 damage to any target. Interesting. Titania, Protector of Argoth, coming into play. Enters the battlefield. Return target land from your graveyard to the battlefield. Opponent has 2 fetch lands in their graveyard. Opponent's going to crack their fetch land, and Titania's other ability, whenever a land you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. So starting to get some creatures going. Our plan this turn is going to be to use the Hunter's Prowess on a token, I think, and just get that card draw going, because we're going to need to look at some extra cards if we want to have any kind of chance here. Our deck really light on removal. There's a Conqueror's Flail. That'll be really helpful, actually, because we have 2 opponents in control colors, so being able to shut off them casting spells during our turn is a really big deal. In fact, I probably need to run Conqueror's Flail more, because I feel like I get hit really hard with that mid-combat Cyclonic Rift, and if the Flail is attached, that's not going to happen. It means they're going to have to do it either at their opponent's end step or wait till after our turn, in which we may have already done the damage, so something I need to be using a lot more of. I'm going to wait on the land just in case we draw into a tap land or something like that. So put +3/+3 on the token. So the token is a 4/4. Swing the token into the Niv Mizzet. And we get the damage. We get the card draw. Sweet. So we draw into mostly lands, but also a Boros Charm. Boros Charm would be useful. So I guess we just play a land right here. Play the Plateau. We'll fake like we're holding up a Swords to Plowshares. And we will pass the turn. So that brings us back up to 7 cards in hand, so that is definitely nice. That is some very important card draw. We'll be able to make our next 2 land drops plus accelerate 1. As this game continues to go longer, will be very important to keep hitting those lands. So Athreos on the Shadowborn Apostle plan, by the way, laid down a number of them last turn and laying down even more of them this turn. For those that aren't familiar, Shadowborn Apostle says a deck can have any number of Shadowborn Apostle cards, and you may pay black, sacrifice 6 of them to search your library for a demon creature card and put it onto the battlefield. Very fun. And Athreos is going to swing into us. Do we block with a token? I'll take the hit from Athreos just because Damia may have even more creatures by the time it comes back to their turn. So that puts us down to 34 at 5 commander damage. Soul Ring for the Niv Mizzet, and it follows it up with a Signet. And they're going to cast their commander, so Niv Mizzet coming into play. So now whenever any player casts an instant or sorcery spell, they get to draw a card. That includes themselves, by the way. That is a really powerful ability. One of my buddies has been playing a really hard Niv Mizzet control deck, and it's pretty nasty. It is tough to deal with. So Damia going to cast their commander. Damia down to 3 cards in hand. If it survives back to their turn, they will draw 4 cards on their next turn, which is pretty good. One thing we can infer too, since Damia is running Titania, means that they're probably running the Sultai lands nonsense, which it's going to be a lot of things like Splendid Reclamation, get 10 lands from your graveyard into play. The Sultai lands decks are really, really powerful. Ideally, I would love to focus down the Damia a little bit, but we don't really have a means to do so at this moment. Which is a little bit frustrating. I want to get Tana back into play since that's kind of the main plan of this deck. We're kind of in awkward mana territory. So we have 6 in play, 7 if we cast another thing. Farseek brings the land in tapped, which is not ideal. So I guess we're just going to recast Tana and go for a tap land. Play the Wooded Foothills, crack the Wooded Foot. Actually, we don't even need to crack it, but we will. We want to thin the lands out of our deck just a teeny bit. We'll get a Let's get the Amonkhet lands. Where's our Amonkhet lands at? There's a Scatter Groves. We'll get that. No attacks right here. We'll just stay on defense. Let's see what demon the Athreos opponent is planning to cook up. And also who they think the threat is. Hopefully it's the Damia or the Niv Mizzet. I know Niv Mizzet doesn't have any cards in hand yet, but they will start drawing soon. So Athreos going to swing into the Damia. Yes, sounds good to me. No blocks. Huh. I probably would have thrown the token in front, personally. Damia goes down to 32, 5 commander, and Athreos just taps out and passes. Interesting. So they appear to be one Shadowborn Apostle short of where they need to be. That's super frustrating. Ooh, Niv Mizzet's going to shoot down the Blood Artist. That is pretty good news with all of the tokens that'll be floating around the board, although, on the other hand, if Athreos isn't worried about us, then, you know, that's saving our opponents a lot of damage as well, so... Niv Mizzet is going to invoke the Firemind and draw 4 cards, which means that they'll get to draw an additional card and put a counter on the Firemind's research and start pinging things down. Let's see what they choose to focus. After casting the Tana, it did occur to me that that was something that could happen, that Niv Mizzet could draw a bunch of cards and easily shoot it down, which hopefully they don't decide to do. Nope, going for the Damia right here. Ooh, that'll be huge. Keeping Damia off balance will be really, really important in this game. If you've ever lost to a Damia, which if you've been playing for a little while, you probably have, you know what Damia can do. So Niv Mizzet going to draw more cards and keep shooting down that Damia. Sounds good to me. Damia down. Having card draw in your command zone is really, really powerful. Any commander that says draw cards in any way, shape, or form is typically very, very good. Damia being probably one of the strongest. Also, given the colors that it's in, Sultai just a really strong color pairing. Niv Mizzet also very powerful. And wouldn't you have it, says draw cards from the command zone. Damia is going to brainstorm. That's going to trigger the Niv Mizzet. Let's see where they want to shoot. Shoots the Titania. All right, getting started on the Titania. Sounds good to me. Soul Ring for the Damia. Means that they can recast Damia next turn, I believe. Yeah, they're currently at 7 mana right now, so easily recast it next turn with 2 lands tapped. But luckily not able to do so this turn. I'm going to cycle a Baron more. Gonna draw a card with the Trade Routes. Discard a land, draw a card. Oh, yeah, this is totally a, like, Splendid Reclamation style deck. Look how many lands they have in their graveyard. That is not by accident. There's a Bojuka Bog. Let's see where that goes. Probably Niv Mizzet. Yep, decides to go after the Niv Mizzet. Correct call. The way my buddy plays a Niv Mizzet deck, a lot of wheel effects, time twister, things that recycle the graveyard back into the library, a lot of that sort of stuff. So this will at least get rid of a few things from their deck. So a bunch of things get exiled. Amulet of Vigor coming into play. Ooh, that's a good one. That'll do some crazy things when that Splendid Reclamation hits. Ooh, there's an Azusa. Yup, definitely a Lands Matter deck. And Niv Mizzet is going to Arcane Denial on that Azusa. Puts a counter on the Firemind's Research, and Niv Mizzet will get to shoot something. Shoots a Shadowborn Apostle, and Athreos gets a trigger, putting it on the Niv Mizzet. Sounds good to me. Does give Damia a little bit of card draw. They were actually at 0 cards in hand, though they could recast their commander. But yeah, we got an interesting game going here. Everyone's got a little bit of something going, but has also been beat back a little bit too. So those Arcane Denial triggers are going to go on the stack. That'll give a 1 Niv Mizzet Perrin trigger. See where they decide to go with it. Shooting another Shadowborn Apostle, sure. And Athreos going to send that damage trigger also back to the Niv Mizzet. So, I mean, Athreos is interesting because you don't think of the 3 life being a big deal, but once it happens a couple times, now Niv Mizzet's down to 24, and... you know, but once people start getting down around 20, like, you start thinking about alpha strikes and stuff like that. So, they'll have to be careful. A lot of cards in hand, though. We have to be careful of free counter spells, because that is definitely a thing that Niv Mizzet is going to want to play. Ooh, that's an Enlightened Tutor. We may use that next turn. I'm going to avoid it this turn. What I want to do this turn is get... I've been thinking about it for a while as opponents have been playing, and I think I want to go Conqueror's Flail so we can get a little bit of power and toughness on the Tana, which will, 1, give us more tokens, 2, keep opponents from casting stuff during our turn, and 3, Niv Mizzet will need to draw a lot of cards to be able to shoot down our Tana, which I like, and then also going for Sidar, which will give our creatures unblockable, which will be really, really good. Now, the one awkward thing about doing that is that if we equip the Flail, then Tana will lose unblockable, and that's not the best. So I think we're going to go Sidar first. We're going to... Man, we could go Parallel Lives, and that would be pretty... We could go Parallel Lives, and that would be really, really sweet, but it just... I think we really need to leave up Boros Charm just in case. So actually, maybe the rest of our turn will be Farseek and leave up Boros Charm and then Enlightened Tutor as we need to. But I think we want to be attacking this Damia right here. I know Niv Mizzet is also a concern. But Niv Mizzet's not focusing us currently, so I'm going to try to keep it that way. Maybe we still just go for the flail. The flail will protect Tana from Niv Mizzet triggers. Won't protect it from this Fire Mines research, though. Yeah, maybe... such a tough call. Maybe we sit on the Boros Charm, then. Because part of me also wants to use the Double Strike mode on the Boros Charm. But, because that'll get us a lot of tokens. I guess we could use Enlightened Tutor to get Duelist Heritage for that, so maybe that's what we do. So that hits. Opponent goes down to 28, 5 commander damage, and Tana the Blood Sower will trigger. Actually, I believe that 5 is from Athreos, only 4 from us. Only 2 from us, actually. So we get 2 more tokens. Sounds good to me. So we play a land, play the Farseek. Niv Mizzet will trigger. Gonna shoot down one of our tokens. Annoying, but okay. Get a land into play tapped. I think I want something with some red in it. Let's get Cinderglade. Then we'll sit on the Boros Charm as we need to. And we can Enlighten Tutor for Duelist Heritage at the end step. Actually, also something like Cathar's Crusade might be the right call, too. Shadowborn Apostle coming down for the Athreos. Taps out and passes. Ooh, opponent going to shoot our Tana. The question is, do they have instant speed card draw? I think we gotta try and protect it. This may not work the way I'd hoped, but I think we at least gotta try. So opponent will get another damage trigger. Didn't see where they pointed it. Oh, put it on the, nice! They put it on the Titania. That means they're probably giving up on our stuff. Yeah! Boros Charm resolves. Nice. There's a Gutter Snipe. That'll be good. That's damage to everyone. We have Perforos, which is also damage to everyone. So now I'm starting to think about, like, we don't necessarily need to do all the damage to everyone. We just need to do enough, and this Perforos might be able to seal the deal out for us. A Braid coming down for our opponent. Going to shoot the Titania. Nice. Gutter Snipe will trigger. Sure. Athreos gets a trigger. Athreos going to keep targeting the Niv Mizzet. Sure. Ooh, Niv Mizzet keeps eating that damage. Nice. So a Braid going to kill the Titania. Nice. That threat is down. Depending on when opponent drew that Abrade, they could have actually killed our Tana, although Titania, generally known as a bit scarier than Tana typically is. Ooh, that's a Leyline of Anticipation for the Damia opponent, so they can end step their Damia. That seems pretty good. Our next turn is going to be tricky. Damia going to send an Elemental into the Niv Mizzet. Sure, I like that. All right, so so that brings it back to our turn. We're on our upkeep. Maybe we're going to skip the Enlightened Tutor right here until we get the Conqueror's Flail down. I think I like that idea. Impact Tremors is a card. Perfect. All right. That changes things pretty dramatically. So now I think we go Conqueror's Flail, Parallel Lives, Impact Tremors. Start with this Conqueror's Flail. Equip this Conqueror's Flail. Niv Mizzet. Ooh, Niv Mizzet thinking about it. Crap. They're going to draw a card. Okay. Ooh, they might be able to... Yep, going to shoot it for 1. And do it one more time. Crap. So Tana's going to go down. Maybe Asceticism is the card we need. Asceticism is probably exactly the card we need. So Tana's going to go down. That is unfortunate. The Flail will fizzle. Let us drop a land. Equip the Flail to our commander. So now we have 4 mana left, which means we could go... We have our choice between Parallel Lives, Perforos, or Impact Tremors, and Enlightened Tutor. I think we'll start by going to combat. And next we'll go to combat. Send everything at the Niv Mizzet. No blocks. Nice. That gets in for 7. Opponent goes down to 9. Literally, if you kill all 3 Shadowborn Apostles, Niv Mizzet will have to start giving back the Shadowborn Apostles. I think this is going to be a perfect time for Perforos, honestly. So, cast Perforos. That's a Harvester of Souls. That'll be good for the Athreos opponent. Get them back into this game. And that turns Athreos into a creature again. Do they swing in everything to the Niv Mizzet? They send in the Athreos to the Niv Mizzet. Sounds good to me. So they'll either have to block with Gutter Snipe or their commander or take the damage. All of which seem very good. Opponent goes down to 4. They're getting there. I'm worried that we may not untap. That would be a huge concern. Targeting the face of the Athreos opponent. Oh, that's a Seething Song. Get ready. Things probably about to get a little wild. Niv Mizzet triggers, Fire Mine Research triggers, Gutter Snipe triggers. If there's a time spiral, we're really in trouble. Jataxian Probe, gonna draw some more cards. Sure. Niv Mizzet down to 2. I think they must have paid the life on the Jataxian Probe. I feel like that means they're probably gonna win. Shoots us in the face for 1. Oh, that's a lot of mana. Explosion deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X. More triggers going on the stack. Gutter Snipe will trigger. Put it down to 4 mana. Interesting. Hits us. We get hit with a little bit. We're down to 24. 5 more Niv Mizzet triggers. Shooting Athreos in the face. Looks like they're going to get us for 1 as well. We're down to 23. Opponent has 4 mana left. Preordain. Out of blue mana. That's good news. Fire Mines Research gonna trigger. Gutter Snipe gonna trigger. Niv Mizzet gonna trigger. So we're down to 20. Opponent says GG, and they scoop it. Nice, so they didn't have it. Nice, so we put just enough pressure on the Niv Mizzet for them not to win, because I'm sure if we gave them like one more turn, they probably get there. They just did probably 30 damage to the board with the Gutter Snipe and all the triggers and stuff like that, so that's really important. And Damia appears to have forgotten to have played their commander on the end step. Or maybe they didn't have enough. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they didn't have enough to end step the Damia. Oh, we're in good shape then. We're in fantastic shape. So now's a good time for the Enlightened Tutor. This is a bunch of things. Iroas is kind of cool. Goblin Bombardment, all right. Doubling Season. Maybe we just go for Blackblade Reforged, although we don't have any evasion currently. Man, maybe I need something that gives our commander haste in the event that it gets blown up. Skull Clamp is interesting because we can draw a lot of cards with that. The question is, do we want to try to end this quickly, or do we want to prepare for a longer game? You know what? I think we go for Assemble the Legion, because we have Impact Tremors and Perforos. And also, enchantments are just difficult to deal with. I'm sure Damia has a few ways to do it, but they probably don't have a ton. Swing into the Damia. Oh, nice. So they won't be able to flash down Damia with the Conqueror's Flail. Man, I got to start using Conqueror's Flail more. That is such a good ability. It's most of the Grand Abolisher ability, and Grand Abolisher is fantastic, just that it's a little fragile because it's on a 2/2 creature. So, yeah, I got to start playing some more Conqueror's Flail. This feels so good. So opponent goes down to 8. Let's get our Assemble the Legion in. And then let's get Parallel Lives. Basically, opponents need mass removal for enchantments at this point. Austere Command would be good. Bane of Progress would be good. Ugin would be good. If they don't come up with one of those, they're going to be in some trouble. Uh-oh. Profane Prayers deals X damage to target, and you gain X, where X is the number of clerics. Ooh, we go down to 17. We could actually get... Opponents can kill us. Yee. Should have left some tokens back. Oh, that's not good. That's so not good. Yep, Athreos into us, Harvester into us. But, I mean, they could literally flash in their commander and get there that way. That was a mistake. I was thinking that our life total was higher than it was. I didn't realize quite how much we lost and quite how much power was on board after all the Niv Mizzet triggers. Even leaving one token back would, prevent enough damage. That's one of the problems with Assemble the Legion. I really wish Assemble the Legion was on combat and not on upkeep. So we're going to take a hit for 10 right here. Not great. Basically just going to have to hope from a mistake from the Damia opponent. Although maybe one saving grace and that... Ooh, they're going to Command Beacon Damia back. They didn't need to do that. They had enough mana to hardcast it. I don't know what they're doing. They may need to leave that Elemental back just because if they attack us, then they don't have blockers against Athreos. And that's a thing. Damia coming into play. Opponent will get to draw 7. So back to their upkeep. Here's that draw 7 trigger. Opponent's going to play a Mana Bond. Going to play a Kodama's Reach. Ooh, Amulet of Vigor will trigger. Opponent's going to Factor Fiction. Oh, that's a pile. They have a Chroma's Memorial, Myriad Landscape, Defense of the Heart, Tranquil Thicket, and Vampiric Tutor. Opponent goes 4-1, ditches the Achroma's Memorial, and goes for the other 4. Interesting. One problem in that they can Vampiric Tutor and then use this to draw a card. Though they're short on black mana. Also, it can't be Toxic Deluge for the reason that... Oh, we're not going to die! Opponent attacks the other opponent. They must have a board wipe. Or they have a way to do 3 damage. We survive. We're at 3. Let's see what they have in their second main phase. They've still got 4 mana left. Vampiric Tutor. Still in the combat phase. They're down to 6. Yep, they use the trade routes, so they have the card that they tutored for. I'd imagine it has to be a Fog. Actually, I guess we get to see. They have a Stifle and Glacial Chasm in hand. Glacial Chasm is a problem. So that's probably the card they went for. Okay, that makes sense. Question now is how do we literally can't do damage to them. Oh, I don't think there's a Strip Mine in our deck. But they can't keep Glacial Chasm in play that long? We survive. Back to our turn. Assemble the Legion will trigger. Get 2 Perforos triggers because the tokens are doubled from the Parallel Lives. We draw. It's a Thunderfoot Baloth. We have Insult to Injury in our deck, which says that damage can't be prevented. That would be super helpful right here. I actually don't feel compelled to kill the Athreos. They may have a way to deal with that Glacial Chasm. Play the Impact Tremors. Play Tana for a lot of mana. Impact Tremors and Perforos will trigger. Athreos down to 10. Everyone at super low life totals now. I think Athreos literally dies to Perforos, Assemble the Legion, Impact Tremors, and Parallel Lives. Yeah, they must, right? So next turn they'll put 2 counters on that. That'll give us 4 tokens. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Opponent sending everything at us. Sure. Block Athreos there. We are left with 1 token and our Tana after blocks. And I suppose Sidar will also survive. So a bunch of triggers for Athreos, bunch of Harvester of Soul triggers. They'll get to draw some cards. Let's see where they point the Athreos triggers. Point one at us, another one at us, and another one at us. We need to make sure we click properly when we do this. Pay 3 life. No. We no again, and no one more time. Opponent will get to draw some cards. Opponent's going to cycle a Razaketh's Right. Not familiar with that one. Well, it's a Diabolic Tutor for an extra mana that cycles. Cool. Exsanguinate? Wouldn't take much. Black Market is a card. And a Shadowborn Apostle. And another Shadowborn Apostle. 1 more Shadowborn Apostle. All those Apostles coming back. So I think the question is, what does Damia draw? Damia will get 1 turn on this Glacial Chasm. Because the first upkeep will be 2 life. And then the second upkeep would be 4 life. And that would kill them. Oh, close game. Man, if we just left... Oh, that's a Zurin Orb. That's not good. Now we in trouble. We need to find Insult and Injury. Ooh, Eternal Witness. Getting back... Defense of the Heart, probably? A Chroma's Memorial. Oh. Chroma's Memorial would kill us. Let's see if they realize that. Yep, going for a Chroma's Memorial. Yep, here comes a Chroma's Memorial. Opponent needs 1 more creature to have lethal on both of us. Yep, there's that creature. They could misclick. Let's see what happens. So, yeah, we're going to go down right here. So frustrating. Glacial Chasm. You know, I would love a red-white legendary creature that just says damage can't be prevented. That would be a... Comeuppance wouldn't work in that deck, but it'd be really good for shutting off opposing Constant Mists and Glacial Chasms. So, opponent AFK'd and gets vote kicked, probably assuming that they had nothing as well. We're going to go down to combat damage right here. Well, I think we get to draw. Let's see. Nope, that's not going to do it. Sylvan Library, fetch... Skull Clamp. It doesn't look like we're surviving long enough to get through that Glacial Chasm at all. So a couple thoughts. One, on fog effects. Insult to Injury, fantastic against fog effects and just good in damage-based decks in general. That'd be the card that we would look to find to get out of a situation like that. It says damage can't be prevented, and if a source you control will deal damage this turn, it deals double damage. And one thing to consider too, if you have all 6 mana, cast both halves in the same turn, it's actually 4 damage to a creature and 4 damage to a player or planeswalker. That's a lot. For 6 mana, that's doing a lot of things. You can shoot a relevant creature for 4. You can shoot a player if you need to, or a planeswalker. And all your damage is doubled and can't be prevented. That's a lot of good things in Commander. So we got destroyed by the Glacial Chasm right there. My thoughts on the deck, I would probably actually get rid of some of these pump spells, these kind of instant speed things, and change it over to an equipment style deck where you jam some equipments on Tana and get it pumped up that way. Pro Red would have been super helpful in that game to protect it from the Niv Mizzet, but that is a little bit at odds with what Sidar does. It'll make it so that Tana won't be unblockable. It will make it so your tokens are unblockable, though. I think that this deck could be refined, and I think it could be pretty solid. We did have to mulligan to 6, which didn't really help us in any way. No wheel effects in here. A Wheel of Fortune's a great way to get out of a mulligan. Well, there's certainly a lot of powerful effects. Is a little awkward in that both of our commanders cost 4. Tana is probably overpriced by 1, quite honestly. If it were 3 mana, it would be so much better. I mean, you need to accelerate to get this thing down. If you're just trying to cast this thing on turn 4 and then expecting to get through for a lot of damage, that's going to be tough to do. At least without equipments, without pumping it up and doing other things. But as a 2/2 on turn 4, it's a little bit small, and so that's a concern. But there's definitely some potential in this deck. Just a matter of getting everything straightened out. One of the other things, too, is that I'm not running nearly enough removal in this deck. If I was running an appropriate amount of removal, there's a chance that we just shoot the Damia down before they draw, and then they're kind of stuck. If you keep Damia out of play, they don't get to draw cards, and the version they were playing isn't going to operate super well unless they're drawing many, many cards every turn. Because a lot of it's all focused on that land stuff. So a more control version of Damia might be able to survive without Damia in play for a while. But yeah, so just some thoughts there. I think this deck could be very, very reasonable if you build it right, which I probably haven't quite done here, but I did want to try messing around with a lot of these instant speed pump effects. but that's probably not truly where you want to be. I don't know. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.